I want to show you how to develop rock solid piano technique in 10 minutes a day. With these 4 essential exercises, I call it my technique booster training plan. And it's how I went from barely being able to play a scale to playing this. And a simple trick to develop fifth finger independence and overcome what I like to call weak pinky syndrome for good. And it's so simple and so obvious, and I'm absolutely kicking myself for not figuring this out sooner. Oh, and I want to tell you about the finger gauntlet, the ultimate drill for developing finger strength and dexterity. But first, let me tell you the story about how I figured all this stuff out. So back in college when I was picking up piano, I was trying to teach myself. And there's a couple things that were so frustrating. First of all, my fingers just didn't want to cooperate. I would literally stare at my fourth and fifth finger and tell them to move, but they just didn't seem to want to. It was weird. I felt like I didn't have control of my own fingers. That led to weak and choppy playing. It was honestly embarrassing. I tried to look up this technique, different technique drills on YouTube, but it just didn't work. I figured out later, after months of wasted time, it's because you can't learn technique with isolated drills. Let me explain. Technique can be broken down into many parts. Finger strength, finger dexterity, finger independence, relaxation, etc. There's a bunch of different parts. The problem was I was trying to learn an individual drill that taught, say, finger dexterity, but I wasn't simultaneously learning relaxation. So I would be stiff when I was doing the finger dexterity drill. And you can't learn finger dexterity if you're practicing with tension. But I didn't understand that. So I would just give up on the drill, proclaiming it doesn't work, and move on to another drill. Of course, that drill didn't seem to work either. Here's Exhibit A. I was trying to teach myself this fast arpeggio run. Practiced that thing for weeks. It was like a measure and a half long, seriously. I just couldn't seem to get it, no matter how many times I practiced it. It was mind-numbingly frustrating. Fast forward 6 months, I switched my major to music, and I lucked out and got a piano prof who's played at Carnegie Hall. Let's just say this guy knows his stuff. He took one look at my arpeggio run and he knew the problem instantly. I was way too stiff. Oh, and I wasn't using the over-under technique, which I'll tell you more about that later. And so he gave me this one weird, simple but weird exercise. I call it the Miyagi technique. It teaches relaxation and correct forearm motion. And in 2 minutes, I could play the arpeggio. It was nuts. I didn't know whether to be excited or angry. Excited that I finally broke through my plateau, or completely angry that I'd spent the last 6 months wasting my time practicing something wrong. Then he explained to me the importance of having a technique workout plan. Basically, it's just a 10 minutes a day thing, but it hits every aspect of technique. A perfect cocktail of exercises, each designed to isolate and conquer a certain aspect of technique. You do it every day before you practice, just like brushing your teeth, and it hits every aspect of your technique. So you won't have to worry about practicing something wrong for 6 months like I did. And here's the cool part, what I call the priming effect. See, when you do these exercises, they prime your brain and your fingers to use the correct motions and the correct movements. So if you do your technique booster drills every day before you play your pieces, you'll instinctively use the correct motion throughout the rest of your practice session. So now you're internalizing correct technique the entire time you're practicing. But if you don't do your technique booster before you play, there's a good chance you'll play with sloppy technique and drill in bad habits. Habits that could be hard to break in the future. Habits that could haunt you for years. I had a problem like that. I had what I like to call weak pinky syndrome. I played with flat pinkies. I didn't even know it was bad technique. I thought I just had weak pinkies. My pinkies were so incredibly weak that it was embarrassing. I'd be playing in front of people, and every time my pinky had to play a note, it would come out super weak and choppy. Then I started using the technique booster training plan. But since I've been using poor technique for so long, it was a strong habit and it was really hard to break. It took me almost a month before I broke the habit. I just wish I could have known about good technique sooner, and it would have been much easier to learn it right from the beginning. I know a lot of beginner pianists have weak pinky syndrome. I had. Here's how to fix it. There's two things. One, you need to build finger strength. The finger gauntlet exercise will take care of that. It's the best exercise for finger strength and finger dexterity. But the second simple thing is much more simple. It's so obvious once you know it. And once I figured this out, I couldn't believe that I hadn't figured it out before. Let me show you what I mean. So here we are at the piano, and I want you to notice something about your hand that's really obvious, but maybe you didn't really think about it too much before. So your middle finger is going to be much longer, obviously, than your pinky and your thumb. So if you have your wrist in the same position every time, your middle finger is going to be curved, right? It's nice and curved, just like it's supposed to be. But your pinky can barely even reach the note, right? So no matter what, no matter how hard you try to curve your pinky, you have to have it kind of flat to even reach the note. Okay, so how do we solve this problem? All you have to do is take your wrist from neutral position and you roll it out. Notice how that curves now my pinky's nice and curved. And it's a strong pinky. When your fingers are curved, you can play with strength. When your fingers are flat, that's when you don't have that coordination and dexterity. So this is part of what I call the over-under technique. And the first half of it is when you roll towards your pinky, you roll your wrist down and out like this. So instead of playing like, and having it being choppy, you play. And if you'll notice, just watch someone who's good at playing piano, and the whole time their wrist is always, it's doing these swooping motions, because that'll give you that smooth tone, and it'll give you nice, strong fourth fingers and pinkies. And without good technique, everything is just harder. Your fingers will feel sloppy, they don't want to cooperate. You know in your head exactly what you want it to sound like, but you can't seem to get to produce it with your fingers. But once you've crossed over to the land of good technique, let's just say life is good. You start to feel at home on the keys. You start developing what I like to call the snap effect, where your fingers seem to just magnetically snap to the correct notes without you even thinking about it. I know it sounds strange, but that's the best way I can explain how it feels. Oh, and my favorite part, you can blow people's minds, captivate audiences with stuff like this. But all that fancy stuff, all that cool arpeggio runs, it all starts with the fundamentals like anything else. The basics, the foundation. And that's where the Technique Booster training plan comes in. Now, I'll tell you exactly how to get the Technique Booster training plan in a second, and exactly what exercises to do. But first, I want to know if this ever happens to you, because it used to happen to me all the time. It's a weird little thing that happens when you develop great technique, and it's something people feel. They won't be able to tell you what it is, but they'll just feel it. Back when I was teaching myself, I'd go on YouTube and I'd see someone playing a song, and they'd be playing it beautifully. It would sound absolutely gorgeous. But the catch was, it was so simple, like a ridiculously easy song. So I'd rush over to the piano and I'd learn it, and I figured if they could do it, so could I. And I was disappointed every time. It wasn't because I couldn't learn the notes. I could learn them just fine, they're easy. The exact same notes the other person was playing. But mine just didn't seem to have that magic, that it factor, that smooth, gorgeous tone. I felt like they just had some special ability that made the piano sing that I didn't have. But as I later learned, there's nothing magical about it at all. What is this special ability? Simple. It's about having good tone. It took me a long time to understand this concept. See, piano notes aren't just buttons. They're complex mechanisms that involve a multitude of physical properties that occur to create a sound. So what does that mean? How you hit a key matters. It's not just about hitting the right notes. It's about hitting the right notes with the right touch, the right motion, the right pressure. And how do you learn that? Simple. Develop good technique. Good technique will turn clunky, choppy playing into a smooth, warm tone. Good technique equals a smooth tone, which equals beautiful playing. So let me show you how to get some inside access to the Technique Booster plan. All right, so here we are at Piano University, Become a Piano Superhuman, and the technique course, the Technique Booster training plan, is located right up here and on the side right over here. And this course is a video lesson course. At first I was going to do a PDF, But I realized that for technique, this is one of those things where it's super important that you actually physically see me doing the technique, see me doing all the motions. So there's a series of exercises, the intro, lesson 2, proper hand position. So this takes you right from the beginning, make sure you're doing everything right. And then there's 4 different, they're concepts and exercises. So for example, lesson 3, the concept is muscle relaxation, and the exercise to drill in muscle relaxation is the Miyagi technique. And there's a certain drill to do it. And then so there's 4 different exercises, and they're the kind of the essential exercises. And then there's the complete training plan. And then there's a couple PDFs that'll help you out. I'm just going to download complete training plan. We'll get to that later. But I want to show you first how the lessons look exactly. So if we go into the hold on. If we go into the technique course, see, we go to the complete training plan one. So it's going to be video lessons. So you're going to have a little intro at the beginning. Then there's going to be a video lesson. And this lesson is going to explain to you exactly how to do the drill and exactly how to do the concept. And then there's just going to be a couple of key points, just so if you forget something, you can remember it, pretty quick. And then there's going to be a PDFs, and then you just click a PDF and you can download it and put it right into your practicing. And then there's going to be an action step, and the purpose of the action step is just to give you exactly, okay, what should you be doing right now to further your technique. And then, so I'll show you quick the complete training plan. So the complete training plan, it has a list of the drills you're going to do. So there's a Miyagi technique, 5-finger drill, scales, and the finger gauntlet. A couple notes on, these notes aren't telling you how to do it, because you need the whole video to tell you how to do it. But these notes give you a couple things you want to really be focusing on as you're doing the drills. And this is the time limit to do each drill. So you sit down at the piano. Before you play anything, you start with the Miyagi technique. You do it for 1 to 2 minutes. Then the 5-finger drill, that one takes 2 to 3 minutes. Scales, 3 to 5 minutes. Finger gauntlet, 3 to 5 minutes. So it's going to be 10 to 15 minutes total of a technique booster before you play. And you do this thing for, a month, and you will be amazed at how much better your technique feels and how much more at home you feel on the keyboard. Now you have 2 options. You can get the entire online piano training course. So that's going to include the Supercharge course, which is all about how to learn stuff super fast and basically practice strategies to get double the results of your practicing. Then there's the music theory course, which teaches theory, ear training, how to play by ear, and lastly, there's a technique course that we're just going over right now. So the entire training course, music theory, ear training, Supercharge, and technique, for the cost of average piano lessons, which is $27 a week. Or if you just want access to the technique course I've been talking about, you can get access to that for just $8 a week. Oh, and one more thing. I'm capping this training program to the first 80 people who sign up. 2 reasons why. First, if you're someone who signs up now, you're obviously someone who really wants to learn piano and is really committed. I like that. You're not a piano dabbler or a piano wisher. You're someone who commits to something, takes action, and gets results. I love people who are action takers, and I want to reward that. Secondly, I want to make sure that I have time to respond to anyone in the course who needs help or clarification on a lesson, no matter how small it is. I want to be with you there every step of the way. Think of it as having like a personal piano coach there by your side every step of the way. And I can't do that if 500 people are signed up. So I'm capping it at 80. So you might want to click one of the buttons below and sign up before the spots fill up. Even with 2 weeks of learning this stuff, you'll see a huge improvement in your technique. You'll probably surprise your teacher. And once you've done it for long enough, you'll start to get that confidence on the keys. That home feeling, as I like to call it. That feeling where the keys feel like an extension of your fingers. It's a strange but amazing feeling. So click one of the buttons below and get access right now. You could literally be starting these exercises in minutes. Remember, the entire training course, ear training, music theory, Supercharge, and the technique course is $27 a week. And for just the technique course, it's just $8 a week. Remember, I'm capping it at the first 80 people to sign up. So click below and get access to your lessons now.